Hello, I'm Reginald Bullock, and
My name is Trey Wilder, and on today's show, this is called Just Living. It's the first episode called The Pilot. I like it. I like it. Reggie, how's everything with you, man?
man, I'm living good. I'm just living.
Nah, I appreciate that. That's how I'm living too. It's been a long weekend, though. It's been a long week, long weekend. I feel like coming up, as I'm glad to just feel like I've been learning lessons throughout this whole week, and I feel like
Number one lesson you learned:
I guess sympathy and empathy.
empathy and empathy.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I know. Because I haven't necessarily been in someone's shoes recently,
Okay.
but they were going through something. But I've also been in something a little similar because it's like family related.
So,
So,
what's the thing that somebody was going
so long story short, they didn't necessarily get kicked out, right?
kicked out of what?
Of their house.
School?
No, of their place, of their
Okay.
house, of their house. And so it was like a little family ordeal that they had. But he didn't feel like he had a. Well, I guess he felt like he had a place to go, but he was just asking around and stuff like that. I offered my place to him for a couple days. And
Did he stay at your house?
yeah, he stayed in my house. Stayed in my house. He brought his dog with him too.
Have you ever had a dog in your house before?
I've had one. I've had one. It was
So,
an interesting time.
the dog in your house
It was
as a unexpected guest.
it was an interesting time. I gotta say, like he didn't bark except for one time, but that was at the owner, and he got him a little riled up.
Business on the floor ever?
No, he didn't.
That's
Like
good.
he auditioned
Big
really
dog,
well.
little dog.
Big dog came a little almost to the hip, and my normal thing is if you come past the hip, we got problems.
Right.
So like he almost
You
came
can
past
ride
the hip.
that like a horse.
Exactly. Like nah, I'm good off there. But he auditioned real well. He was a chill dog, and he almost made me think about getting one myself. So I was like,
Okay.
yeah. So it wasn't that bad. But like it added extra time to my week. Like even just yesterday,
And your feng shui.
yeah, yeah, because like I now I gotta feel like I gotta vacuum up again. I gotta wash my sheets. Like he was shedding a little bit. It wasn't aggressive, but still, it just messed up the week a little bit. Not messed up, but that might be the wrong word. It threw it off enough.
So here's the deal, right? So many people go through that.
Mhm.
Young, old, where they have to find some place to stay.
Mhm.
Regardless whether you're kicked out or whether you got evicted or whether you graduated from college and you have no clue what's next. So you're out of your dorm room, right?
Exactly.
You're out of your living quarters when you were in college, or you move from one location to another. So how do you anticipate that to prepare for that? So you're not in a situation at the last minute where you contacting a friend and say, "Hey, yo, I need a couch," because how old are you?
31.
31. So think
Okay.
about it, right? Your age group goes through that
Yeah.
on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And fortunately, you were able to help this person out.
Mm.
So how often does this kind of thing happen?
That situation doesn't happen that often. Like, I mean, maybe someone needs to crash because they're in DC or something like that.
Right.
But that situation doesn't happen often. It was like I've been asked about, can I borrow money? That happens a little more often.
Right.
But yeah, like to just get a place to stay for a couple days like that, not often. And
Initially,
initially,
had somebody stay here for over a year and a half. It started off because of COVID,
okay, okay.
and he was here in April,
Mhm.
and it was basically, for a few months, and then a few more months, and then a year later, and a year and a half. So
That's crazy.
that was unexpected. But I also think sometimes it's good to be in a position to help other people.
Yeah.
It's good to be in the position where, how you say, there but go I, the grace of God, right? And so we're fortunate to have what we have,
Mhm.
and we're not in that situation today.
Exactly.
But any one of us,
Be in that
I don't care
situation.
who you are, how high you are, how much money you have, how successful you are,
Mhm.
at any given time, it could be you.
Yeah. And so I'm curious about this, right? Because I was thinking about this for a little bit. Does it make you selfish thinking like that as opposed to just saying, "Hey, I want to help someone out." Like there's a part of me that says, like you, I could be in this situation tomorrow. Like
Right.
anything could happen. You never know.
Right.
So is it selfish to think like that? Although you're mainly trying to help folks out.
So it's not selfish, right?
Okay.
Because it's not even about you. You put the work in,
Right.
you've gone to school, you put your resume, you interviewed, you got a job, you're doing all this stuff on your position description, and you're getting paid.
Mhm.
There's nothing selfish about being successful.
Okay.
There's nothing selfish about achieving in that respect. So the fact that you had it
Mhm.
and they don't have what you have, that's not selfish. That's just you have what they don't have.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
kind of like, if I had two sandwiches
Mhm.
and you don't have a sandwich, you give you one.
Yeah.
There's nothing selfish about that. If anything, it's generous.
Okay.
And so, no, I wouldn't look at it as selfish at all, man. I mean, you're blessed.
Mm.
You're blessed. So you're sharing your blessings.
Right.
Why would you think it's selfish?
Because I think it's not like all right, this is a reserve or this is something I'm trying to like hold on to later on in life. Because again, like I'm in a solid situation right now.
Mhm.
What happens 6 months from now? Something happens now, so I'm not in that same solid situation.
Right.
But I'm doing stuff to help people out now. It's like a like a small part of me, I feel like in the back of my head is saying, well, if you're doing it for people now, it might come back to you later on. And but it's not that's not what's driving me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like something you pick up. Like if you do good things for people in general, hopefully good things come back to you.
And
So
that's not selfish, man. To be able to have the mindset of, I want to do for somebody else that which I hope they would do for me.
mhm.
That's just living life, man.
Okay,
That's just
okay,
living life,
okay,
you know. Yeah. So I wouldn't put too much energy into that part
okay,
versus the fact that you did the seed and harvest.
right,
You reaping what you sowed,
yeah,
and therefore you sowed a lot of good seeds, and now you're harvesting from that.
mhm,
Some of it you store up for later,
yeah,
just in case.
right.
6 months from now, stuff happens. You can go and get some of that harvest
It does.
and maintain yourself and bridge yourself, you know, for a little while until you get more harvesting.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you want to transition to what?
Thinking intelligence. I'm thinking intelligence because everybody talks about hustle. Everyone talks about smart. Fun fact: I just had this conversation about someone being smart, and a young woman said she doesn't like that term.
Okay.
So now I feel like when people say smart, it's kind of like I don't want to say a slap in the face to people who are intelligent. But before we get on to that, I wanted to know what's your definition of intelligence? Because again, I just want to reiterate, I said he was an SME, and apparently that was a slap in the face. So he had mastered at the program, got a book out. Floor is yours, sir.
So the smart piece. I think culturally back in the day, smart was a term used in an educational environment
Hmm.
of a standard.
Hmm.
So when you did all of the things you needed to do academically to achieve a certain standard, you were considered smart. And then smart started to take on different definitions.
Right.
In England, they may say you dressed smartly, right?
Okay.
Which
Okay.
means you dress better than somebody that's not smart.
Okay.
So in
Okay.
academics, you're smart, which means you're better than somebody that's not smart. We had so many different yin yang, good, bad, positive, negative uh, ways of evaluating a person or a thing or situation. And it just kind of stayed with us for a long time.
Hmm.
Not to slam the educational institution, but it was designed for the agricultural age.
Okay.
We've
Okay.
transitioned from the agricultural to the industrial to the information and technology.
Right.
And the educational school system is still the same as it pretty much was back in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah.
So the word smart has stuck around.
Hmm.
Intelligence, on the other hand, that's a whole different story.
Hmm.
So intelligence is where you are able to synthesize information and come up with a solution, a strategy, a thought leadership, and it's useful that it can be used from an actionable perspective.
Right.
So in high school or college, you learn in chemistry that you have applied science and pure science.
Hmm.
So pure science is just science for the sake of science.
Right.
But applied science is when you're doing something with it. So it's just like pure knowledge versus applied knowledge. You can be smart, but so what now what?
Hmm.
The now what is the applied knowledge. So now I say all of those as a foundation to intelligence, because intelligence has a lot more factors and requirements.
Right.
It requires you to be able to do actionable and applied knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It requires you to take this information and do something with it. It requires you to understand the now what.
Right.
So when you are intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
it means that you're able to process the information, the data.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to synthesize all of that. And similar to generative AI,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to come up with a new solution,
Right.
a new thought, a new idea, a new way based on the data.
Right.
So, not to conflate being intelligent with generative AI,
Mm-hmm.
but it is kind of similar.
Okay. Okay. I
For
got
those who are techie or data people, who are engineers, where that's how you think.
Right.
I wanted to put that out there so that they can understand a little parallel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more than right, because you got emotions in there, and then of course you have EQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and EQ is emotional quotient, but we also call it emotional intelligence. But the point is, how do you know if a person is intelligent? Well, for the most part, do they know what the heck they're talking about?
Yeah.
A lot of people espouse superfluous fluff.
Right.
They sound good. They ain't said shit.
Exactly. That context piece it matters so much.
So there was nothing intelligent about what they said.
Right.
But then you can take intelligence to a higher level. And I was in the intelligence community in the military.
Mm-hmm.
I have a master's degree in strategic intelligence.
Right.
And I help people strategize various things for their organization, for plans, and come up with strategy that you can come up with a plan that you can execute.
Mm-hmm.
So the intelligence element of that is, do you have the ability to take all of this information and make sense of it,
mm-hmm.
and come up with a solution that you can execute to achieve what you need to achieve? Okay. So it's not just being smart.
Gotta discern. And then okay. Like, so for example, I realize the information that I got, right, the data that I got, is my battery low on my computer. So intelligence says, I'm gonna go ahead and get up real quick and charge it in before the camera dies. But I get intelligence.
So speaking of intelligence, Trey, I'm gonna do the difference between just information and intelligence.
Okay.
So Invictus. To be able to say and recite Invictus is just information,
right?
Just knowledge.
Exactly.
To be able to break down what Invictus is, that gets into the intelligence piece. Make sense?
Yeah. Now you got to internalize it.
So, for instance, everybody heard the term, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. People hear that and they're like, wow, that's so cool. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. But what does it actually mean? So, what does it actually mean? And then you got to go back into the whole thing. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the heart of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments to scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I could teach a 5-year-old to recite it. I could teach a 10-year-old to recite it. I could teach a 31-year-old to recite it. But it doesn't mean that they're able to synthesize it and truly understand it. And that gets into the intelligence element. How high of a level can you command your brain to think and come up with solutions? To the point that you had made earlier about hustling and being able to make money, there are a lot of people that want to make money.
Right.
But they don't have a hustle.
Yeah.
But they can have a hustle. but it's going to require some intelligence. Did you unplug this and then replug it back in? I don't worry about it. It didn't hurt anything. It just I saw these start moving, make me want to DJ. Hey. So the point is, how do you synthesize that information? It's kind of like this system here, right?
Mhm.
Anybody can walk up to it and see that these are volume controls.
Right.
But there's a whole lot of stuff going on here.
Hmm.
And then, even though you are technically proficient at it, as a DJ, it's on a higher level of intelligence.
Yeah.
Because you got to read the crowd, study the crowd, know what they want. You get evaluated every minute and a half while they're on the dance floor, yada, yada. That's the intelligence element of really being able to understand the crowd and control the crowd.
Now, because again,
welcome back, by the way.
Right. Sorry for those technical difficulties. Apparently, I wasn't too intelligent with this here charger.
You just missed a step in your checklist.
But like, can you improve on intelligence? When I say that, I understand it's how you discern information, how you ultimately understand it. How do you improve that? Like, what if you just like, can you just not be intelligent, or is that more so towards work ethic?
You asked like 4 questions. So you can not be intelligent in various areas.
Okay.
You know, some people just dance.
Mm.
I feel bad for them, but they have not put the work in, and therefore the muscle that they have actually strengthened is the muscle that causes them to not do things.
Okay.
To your point of being lazy.
Right.
I'm not calling people lazy, but I'm just saying that they have gotten so used to not doing things. Now, another piece, you know, from a social perspective, is folks become depressed. And when you become depressed, sometimes there's a lot of things you're supposed to do that you're not doing.
Okay.
That's not lazy. That's depression. And those things can also cause you to not be intelligent.
Okay.
Because you're not thinking clearly. But the piece about what?
Oh no, I just had a thought in my head. Like, I guess if you're intelligent, I know when people think intelligent, right? They think, oh, you're smart, you know a lot. So I'm assuming when you're intelligent, you might be planning. So, or not planning, but like planning for like possible moments of, okay, well, if you're depressed, how would you might deal with that? Would you think that is an intelligent trait, or is that unrealistic and unintelligent because you can't necessarily plan for it?
It's not unrealistic and unintelligent because people are self-aware.
Okay.
And when you're self-aware, then that means you are planning for it. You do manage things like that. You know, I know people who have manic depression, and they may be they may be conscious that they're manic or depressed. So when I'm communicating with them, they may say, I'm having a manic moment right now."
Gotcha.
So that's being self-aware.
Okay.
And so to that extent, that's not lazy, that's not unintelligent, there's none of that. That's just them going through what they're going through, being self-aware that they're going through it. And to some extent, because they're conscious of it, they are probably doing the things they need to do so it doesn't last that long.
Okay.
And then they can get back to doing what they're doing. And that's pretty intelligent.
Okay.
To know yourself that well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
your point about intelligence and be able to go to a higher level of intelligence or become more intelligent, all of that is doable. It requires work.
Right.
It's kind of like when I was a first degree black belt, right? I was pretty good. And then I became a second degree black, and I got even better. And then a third degree black belt, I'm in tournaments and still fighting, right? And then fourth degree black belt is master level. Okay. So at that level, I was intelligent as a first degree. I'm more intelligent as a fourth degree.
Gotcha. Because you're just building upon that knowledge. Okay.
It's like having a associate's degree versus a PhD.
Okay.
You know, you're educated.
Right.
But now you're at a higher level of education and understanding.
Okay. Now, in terms of going, like, kind of circling back to hustle a little bit, an intelligent hustler, what does that look like to you? Like,
that's pretty good, man. I like that. An intelligent hustler.
What does that look like to you? Is that somebody who is efficiently, I guess, hustling, or is that somebody who, when we think of intelligent, you might think of like a nerd, right? Quote unquote. So is that like or is that a nerd, I guess, who's hustling? Like what does intelligent hustler sound like to you more?
So I'm gonna remove nerd off the table because that doesn't fit. But an intelligent hustler,
Mhm.
all right. So we talk about intelligence, we talk about hustling. So when I look at an intelligent hustler, that means somebody who's extremely strategic, well thought out. They have a full concept and understanding of the big picture
Okay.
from a strategic perspective. And now they can pick and choose how they do things. Matter of fact, you know, they may even have a team of people working for them. They may be at the top and have multiple layers below them. So they're not cutting grass.
Mhm.
They own the company.
Okay.
They're not raking leaves and washing windows. They own the company. And so they're hustling at a whole different level,
Right.
but they're not out there sweating like crazy anymore. They got 100 people doing it for them,
Okay.
but they still hustling because they got to keep this thing afloat.
Right.
And in order to do that, you got to be intelligent. You can't accidentally do. You can accidentally show up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning or late, cut somebody's lawn, and get $20 for it. Right. So that's not a high level of intelligence to do that. Nothing against people that cut grass, because I used to do it.
Yeah.
It's just if you are one of 100 people cutting grass, and that person has got to worry about machines and trucks and gas and timing and the weather and all of those other factors that go into not their $20 for the day, but their $10,000 for the day, of which part of it is going to pay all of these people. Yeah, that's a different level of intelligence getting your hustle.
Okay. Okay. See, so sometimes when I feel like I'm doing my show, I feel like I'm hustling sometimes. Like I said earlier, I may not classify myself as much of a hustler as I would like to be. But I'm hustling though. I'm moving them puppies now.
Right.
But then sometimes I feel like I'm not moving intelligent with it. Cause like, for example, my edits or my recordings, okay, like I made sure I recorded, okay, who's gonna be on what show, what day do I want this, what topics do I want to cover on these days. And it's all in one full week. So like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, got this covered. And then when I'm looking back at it, it's like, dang, I wish I had done this differently. Or I wish I had done differently. So in that moment, I feel like I'm not being intelligent, at least in terms of like what I just learned about myself.
Mhm.
But then in that same moment, I might think, okay, well, I'm actually am being intelligent because I'm self-assessing myself, lessons learned, and trying to move better going forward. And that's what it is in the day. Like again, as I said earlier, we don't know everything in life, so we're just going through. It's just funny how we, I guess, put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Um, like the definition of hustle could be subjective in terms of how much work you're doing. I think like one person's hustle could be different from somebody
I
else's.
thought Beyonce said it was deep. So to your point, you said a lot of stuff in there. So the short answer for a lot of questioning is yes and yes, in the sense that your show, you are hustling and you are intelligent, but you also said, there's just some things we don't know.
Right.
So that doesn't mean you're not intelligent. That just means you haven't learned that thing yet.
Yeah.
Right. We all have to grow and develop.
Right.
And hopefully we're on a trajectory of knowledge and wisdom and understanding and intelligence. So, no more than you expect a 6-year old to be able to, play ball like Kobe Bryant. Right. Doesn't mean that 6-year old is not intelligent with the skill sets that they've learned.
Right.
I mean, I've seen some 6-year-olds do stuff that I can't do.
Yeah.
Right. And so the point is the levels. Kind of like being like a first degree black belt doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. It just means they're first degree black.
Right.
A fourth degree black belt is intelligent and maybe more intelligent than the first degree in martial arts, but not necessarily in everything else. And so, in your hustle with your show, yeah, you are intelligent. But then you went to George Mason, right? And I went to Community College of Philadelphia for a little while, right? So, does that make you more intelligent than me? No. It's just I hadn't learned the thing that you learned yet,
Okay.
right? And so intelligence is where you are at the time
Right.
if you're intelligent.
Yeah.
But just because you don't know something don't mean you're not intelligent.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, you might, like, for instance, I have relatives that never graduated from high school. All right. I think my Uncle Willie finished the sixth grade. But they can cook
Mm-hmm.
with no recipe and no measuring cup.
Oh, that's tough sometimes.
That's intelligence.
That's kind of tough. That's kind of tough. I ain't gonna lie.
That's how I learned to cook. So I can cook almost anything I want to cook. And I don't use no recipe other than what I know in my head. Mm-hmm. And I don't use no measuring anything. I just get in it and make it do what it do.
Yeah.
And that's intelligence.
Okay. Okay.
It's just like a seal. I told you this. A seal, in an aquarium is trained.
Mm-hmm.
Just jump through the hoop, bounce a ball, jump, do whatever. That is a trained seal.
Right.
But an intelligent seal. Mm-hmm. So an educated seal is one that knows how to hunt out there in the ocean and find its own food.
Yeah.
And do everything it wants to do because that's who it is.
Right.
So it's learned about itself. It's educated on who it is or he or she is.
Okay.
And when it's educated on who she is and it's acting upon those instincts, that's not training. That's education.
Okay.
Intelligence is when you take that education and now you understand the full landscape of your environment and you use that to achieve results in those environments based on your understanding of the environment. Now that seal is intelligent. That seal knows when the shoals are happening or when a bait ball is going on and sees the birds up there. That's intelligence.
Okay.
That's not just going down looking for, no, okay. I don't need to work so hard.
That's crazy.
I need to know where the fish are when I get in this water.
Right.
So I can go straight to it and eat. And then more than that, I need to feed my young.
Yeah.
So it has a need to get its hustle
on. Okay. Okay.
So I just showed you training, education, intelligence, and hustle with a seal.
That's crazy. So going back to like my friend with his dog, right? I ain't gonna lie. I thought dogs might have been one of the dumbest animals out there. Like, bro, what are we doing? Like, you just watch. Okay, no, I'm gonna let you be great. But there's one thing that I did notice. I said, like, old boy auditioned really well.
It's interesting that you say audition. I said that before, and I didn't dive into it. And now you said it again. I'm like, I'm listening.
Well, the reason why I say audition is because at the time they were trying. We were trying to find somewhere for the dog to stay for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So he was auditioning because if he barked, there's no way in the world he's staying at the crib.
Right.
But he doesn't bark. He doesn't do too much. I'm like, you know what? It's a solid little audition right here. Well, the reason why he didn't do that, he didn't bark. He whined a little bit, but that's what dogs do. He was taught that, but he also learned and applies it going forward. So he knows, okay, well, with me, he might be able to get away with some stuff. With his owner, there's no way in the world that he's going to get away with some stuff. So looking at it from that vantage point, you might think dogs are stupid. You might think dogs are slow.
But I think dogs are stupid. Ever.
I did. Because again, you're just barking, you running around, like we acting like you ain't seen everything. Like he was sniffing my place, which mine was brand new to him. After one quick walk around, I feel like, champ, what else you got to search for? Like you've been here before. Like we're circling the block for what reason? Like there's no point. But he's having himself a good old time. And I think I ultimately shortchanged dogs in general. And I was kind of disappointed in myself because he easily showcased, well, it's a dog. We're humans. We can thrive in our world very easily.
And he might have been building upon his intelligence in the sense that the dog might have been aware.
Yeah.
And aware that if I bark too much, I'm going to get put out. If I don't bark at all, I get to stay.
Yeah.
That's an intelligent dog,
Yeah.
not just the educated dog.
Exactly.
And so the dog used this training and education to capitalize off of its intelligence
Hmm.
to control you. But now who's the dog?
Controlling might be a little aggressive.
I mean, you didn't put him out.
Well, no, I didn't.
That was the objective.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
I mean, hey, like I said,
Strategic thinking.
yeah, he didn't bark, so he did himself a favor. He
Well,
did
how
himself
so?
a real favor. But no, it's just amazing how much you have to think about things or rethink some things. Because how often do you think about how you view a dog?
Me?
Well, no, I mean just in general. Like, how
Uh,
often would that thought process like
It
come up?
depends on the foundation of knowledge you already have.
Mm,
Because if you already understand dogs, then the thought process will never come up. No more than it comes up when you come out of your house and you drive down the street and you turn left to go anywhere
right.
or turn right. You don't think about it because you've already done it. You have a bird's eye view of a map of your general location in your neighborhood, so you don't have to pay attention to certain things anymore.
Hmm.
It's kind of like instincts. When you're playing basketball, somebody throws the ball to you, you don't have to concentrate. Okay, I got to get my hands like this. The ball's getting close. I got to time it just right and clamp down on it and catch it. And then after that, I got to think about what to do. You don't think about none of that. It's just the ball in the air, and you automatically know what to do
Yeah.
because you've done it many times. So therein lies your ability to have a lot more intelligence because how many things have you ever done in life
Yeah.
that constitutes layering of information
Mhm.
and diversity? So you don't have to think about those things anymore
Right.
because you know that you know that you know.
Yeah, you got it.
Like a person who can't fight, right? Somebody do this to them, they, right, because they're not used to that. But a person who can fight, somebody do that to them, they'll be like, no, they may just look at you. You didn't hit me.
Mm, that's different.
You
If
seen me
you,
do it.
I'm about to say, if you swing and you're like you didn't hit me, you don't move. That is kind of tough. Like I'm at least give you a little more, like at least a little back. Like just maybe it depends on how close they
And
are.
I just stare at you like, you didn't hit me.
That's
And I
crazy.
knew you weren't going to hit
Mm,
me. Because if you hit me, I'm hit you back.
right.
Why? Because I've had this experience before of being hit a lot
Yeah.
and hitting back. So I'll take your one or two. It's fine. But then it's my turn. So therefore, I don't flinch like that all the time because of the experience. So there's just so many things that you can do. You ever be in a car with somebody that's driving and you're like, oh, this, because they don't really have the experience that they
Yeah.
think they have.
Yeah.
Then you get in a car with somebody else and you don't care if they thread the needle or do whatever because you know they know what they're doing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Not that. Yeah. I got. Yeah. Like that. Maybe that first time. That first time they do it, but after you see how they do it,
Mm-hmm.
you're comfortable. Because anybody, like I've had coworkers, I'm going. We're on the interstate. I'm going 60 to 70.
Mm-hmm.
I'm flowing with traffic,
Mm-hmm.
but the report comes out like, oh well, they were nervous at first in the car ride because I'm speeding. I'm
Right.
flowing with traffic,
Right.
but at the end of it though, we're comfortable.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just because they're not in control
Exactly.
and they're giving control up to you.
Exactly.
And that's a whole different thing of just that realm that we're talking about, where somebody else is in control and you're not used to that. Kind of like some people don't want to fly because they have no control whatsoever of
Right.
that whole process
That's fair too.
of being in the air and coming back down. And so they don't want to fly.
Mhm.
All right. But then you got other people, they get on airplanes, no big deal, fall asleep before the aircraft takes off, wake up when they feel like it's landed, and they're comfortable.
Yeah.
So it's that experience base.
Okay.
Then you got some people that don't want to get around. I mean, they don't travel ever because they're afraid of different environments. And then you have other people that travel the world all of the time because they're fine.
Okay.
I know, like when I travel around and I see street meat and food and everything, I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna eat that, I'm gonna eat whatever. I don't care where I'm eating. They can eat it, I'm eating. Right. Then you have other people that no, if I'm not familiar with it, it's not cooked the way I'm used to it, I'm not eating.
That's fair.
So that's just life, man. And it goes towards everything, even schools, right? You have community college, and then you have Ivy League, and then you have everything in between. What causes a person to want one versus the other? Or what causes a person to not want one versus the other? And
Yeah.
that's culture, that's experience, that's upbringing, it's economics. There's a lot of things associated with that.
Mhm.
But then you have somebody grow up in the projects in the hood, and they say, "I'm going to Harvard. I'm getting my law degree." Dude, you ain't even got enough money to get your lunch. How you gonna go to Harvard? I'm going to Harvard and I'm getting my law degree because that's what I'm going to do. Because that's where their mindset is, and they have enough intelligence to understand that they have the capability of doing that. And now they're gonna put in the work it takes to get more of whatever it takes
Right.
to get into Harvard.
Yeah.
Then you got some people who, you know, community college. Only reason they're going to community college is because somebody told them to right after high school.
Right.
And when they get there, they're just going to show up and do nothing. And then at the end of the semester, they failed English 101, right? Because
And upset.
they went to school, but they didn't do nothing.
I'm saying they upset too, like they should have got a higher grade or whatever.
I mean, that's a whole nother show. We could talk about the mindset of that type of individual.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in that environment, right? So I can talk about it. And they may take offense, but I'm still talking about me.
Right.
Right. I mean, I was dyslexic and illiterate for a while. So when I say those things, I'm like, all right, if the shoe fits, wear it. And if you pissed off that I said thug and hood and you uneducated and you shouldn't have done this and all this other stuff, get mad.
Yeah.
But if I'm also talking about that's what I did, then how you getting mad about me doing what I do because you transpose that mindset onto yourself? Well, that's just even more unintelligent.
Yeah.
I prove my point.
Exactly. I think so. Again, different backgrounds, right?
Right.
I like at least you dealt with like fake dealers, fake gangsters. I mean, real dealers, real gangsters. I dealt with people who were trying to be like the pretenders,
what?
like
gangsters.
yeah. Like one person.
Why would they try to be?
Because of the society that we were in. So, like, mind you, we're younger, so we're impressionable. Okay. And I remember there was this Caucasian fellow, and he was like, he told me and this other light skinned guy, we're not black. And exactly because we didn't know what an 8-ball was.
Okay.
And we're not talking about pool. So it's like I'm like, that's what meaning black, like that's what being black is. That's not intelligent. Like that's not really intelligent at all. And then to know that he's trying to be somebody or something that even those people, I think if they had the opportunity to choose, might not choose that same field. So I feel like from that standpoint, you're not intelligent. Like you're all like I always view people like that as dummies, as stupid.
So I don't view them as dumb or stupid. And to some extent, I get the point about not intelligent. But you don't get to choose what color you are, no more than you get to choose your environment that you grow up in.
Right.
So at a young age, you are trained and taught stuff. And that becomes your foundation.
Right.
So the reason why he spoke in a ignorant manner, as opposed to not intelligent, he was ignorant, is because he just didn't know. And he may not even know who he is. And that's the problem with many of us, not just black people, but definitely black people, because I'm in that community and I see it a lot. We don't know who we are. And if we don't know who we are, then a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is either based on what somebody told us or we're just guessing at it or assuming it. But we really don't know, right? For instance, Jerusalem, the song.
Okay.
Right? It is the number 2 most played song in the world. And it is a religious song about going to Jerusalem,
right?
Going to heaven. A lot of people don't know that. But the other piece about it is it's Zulu. Now, I've been studying Zulu for many years, not just the language, but Shaka Zulu was one of the most powerful warriors, and the Zulu nation was one of the most powerful nations, military, everything feared in the world. We don't get that in our history. We talk about everybody else. We talk about, Sun Tzu. We talk about, Hitler. We talk about all of these people who were actually, bad people.
Yeah.
Shaka Zulu was just notoriously powerful about taking care of his tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to extinguish the entire Zulu nation, not comparing it to the Jews, but they tried to extinguish the entire Jews.
Mm-hmm.
The Jews survived,
Mm-hmm.
and here they are thriving.
Mm-hmm.
The Zulus survived, and that song, Jerusalem, is, a testament to their survival. And so I say all of that because both Jews and Zulus know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Africa, and the president, the clerk, and all of the other politics before apartheid or during apartheid tried to extinguish the language, and so Africana became the language, or Afrikaner, and they wanted people to not know who they were.
Right.
Never happened. But here in the United States, with computers and information and libraries and all kinds of resources, people still don't know who they are.
Right.
It's not all their fault. I grew up in Philadelphia where they tried to deliberately miseducate us. Not try, they did. They did. And it's a whole different social concept movie about that, or structure, or research. But the point is, people don't know who they are. So this Caucasian guy that's saying, you don't know what an 8-ball is, so you're not black. He doesn't even know who he is.
Right.
So if he doesn't know who he is, what gives him the authority to start telling somebody else that they don't know who they are?
Mm-hmm.
So rather than it being unintelligent, it's sad. And a lot of these folks out here doing all of these negative things and portraying all of these images is exactly what they're doing. They're portraying images. And the image that they're portraying is what they think they need to portray based on the images that they saw.
Yeah.
So they're mimicking.
Yeah, that's.
So if you're just mimicking,
you're not learning.
The real question is, who are you? So as an executive leadership coach, I get to coach presidents, CEOs, directors, military leaders, everybody, right? And somewhere in the coaching sessions, eventually we get to the question, who are you? Because I want to know their leadership philosophy.
Right.
And then I want to get them to write their leadership philosophy, which most leaders don't have. And it's hard to write your own personal leadership philosophy that you can get on stage and read it and tell 1,000 people what your leadership philosophy is, so they know where you're coming from all the time, because this is who you are. But if you don't know who you are, you can't write your leadership philosophy.
Yeah.
And I paused because I almost went down, my experience of there are people in leadership positions, and then there are leaders.
Yeah.
And they're not always the same.
Yeah.
Just because you're in a leadership position don't mean you're a leader.
Yeah.
A lot of people in a leadership position mimic. And they hurt people. And they say the wrong thing. And they're badgering somebody. Or they're coming in being boisterous. Or they're angry. And they bring negative energy into the room. That's not leadership.
Yep.
That's a bully.
Yep.
That's being in charge.
Yep.
That's exercising power.
Yep.
That's having authority. But that's not leadership. And the reason why these people in leadership positions are not, and some people I tell them, like, you may have been in a leadership position for over 20 years, but you've never been a leader in your entire life. Because you don't even know who you are. It's tough. If you don't know who you are, how can you help others become the best version of themselves?
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of you can't help somebody until you've helped yourself.
So, hey, to your point, you can't allow a dog and a person to stay in your house if you don't have a house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean?
Yeah, sure. Come over. What's the address? About that. Like that. It just don't really fit well. Yeah. It's just funny how end of day we try to mimic people when I think it's so much easier to be yourself. And we're always told that, oh, you want to go meet a girl, you want to go meet your opposite, you want to go find somebody for you, be yourself. But we always try to be someone else.
Other conversation about young people meeting somebody. And I say somebody because in 2023, but back in my day, guys meet girl, girl meet guy. You know,
Now it's
now
people meeting people.
it's people meeting people, right? And so, but it is a thing because you may want a companion. You'll have to find that companion
Right.
for life, right? But
But you gotta
back to your point about mimicking.
well, it's like it kind of ties back to what you were talking about too, just understanding and knowing yourself. Because you can mimic all you want. That's best for that person though.
Mhm.
Like I can try to do that turnaround, jump shot off the baseline. I can try to attack the basket. That's cool for Cole. Like I can try to stick my tongue out and dunk the ball like Jordan. That's cool for Jordan. Like what is Trey like? You know what is Trey doing? That even now at age 30, which is, I feel old. I don't feel old. I feel older from a standpoint of a couple years ago when I left the gym. Ain't nowhere in the world sitting up there someone called me like what? Like what? Like hey dog, to this day, Tyler, respectfully, you have messed me up internally, dog. Like you told me
You
he was like, all right, and then after that,
so,
it's
so
gonna
in my age group,
oh, you know,
when we first started hearing the word we thought it was derogatory.
yeah, it
But
felt that way.
how do you call? Because no. In a sense, you're supposed to call me uncle. How did you shorten uncle to unk
Oh,
and take it and turn it hip hop or street or whatever or cool or whatever? No. Who gave you permission to call Uncle Reggie Unk? You don't even say Reggie anymore or Uncle. You just say Unk. Yo, Unk. I'm Uncle Reggie. Anyway, I'm good with it now. But when I first started hearing that, I was like, what the heck? I've never called none of my uncles Unk. If I call any of my uncles Unk, I'll find myself across the room. Either running or I got knocked there because I called them Unk.
that's funny.
But anyway, go ahead.
No, it's just always interesting how people always want to mimic folks. You find yourself too in that same situation sometimes. You always find someone's life maybe more appealing than yours. I think J. Cole said it best, and I'm sure someone else has said it before. But love yours. And in that song, he was talking about love your family, love your girl, love your like spouse, whoever that is. You also gotta love yourself. Like there was and I'm mad at this song that I forgot.
That's hard for some people.
It is. Like
So do you think you love yourself?
oh, I love me some me. Now I love me some me.
See, I knew the answer to that.
Yeah, I love it, Like listen, but I'll say this though. There have been moments where I feel like, I don't love this aspect of me. So that's why I try
I have a few of those about me that
yeah.
I don't love that aspect about me. I probably shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
I know it's wrong, and I'm still doing it anyway because that's who I am. So,
Exactly.
so that's the authentic of me being me
Exactly.
and not mimicking anything. But I don't necessarily love that part about me.
Exactly. But I think you should ultimately love yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly.
You ugly?
You know what?
You ugly?
I have ugly. I got ugly. Now you talking about here? Nah, this is pristine. This is pristine. Go ahead. That one, like, hey. Nah. But like, I think there's ugly aspects that if you actually assess it properly, it can come out beautiful. That whole journey, because again, just becoming better in itself. When I say better, that's subjective, but if you are progressing, if you're always evolving, I think that's always beautiful. Like when you asked me earlier, like a couple weeks ago, what's my why? And I was trying to get the question or the answer out, and it's like, all right, they don't like this answer. Damn, like what? Like what can I give? So it makes you think more. It makes you think, all right, how can I change this? How can I make myself better? How can I progress? So now as I go forward, I had the intention of helping someone out. And I told you guys that last time. So now it's like, how do I live up to that?
Right.
How do I keep doing that? So it's just constantly making yourself think about how to progress, how to move forward in your way, in your pace. And that's the best course of action. Not compare yourself to this other person's lifestyle. Like I can say, oh, I'm lowballing myself or I'm slow because I'm looking at my life in comparison to yours.
Right,
well,
right.
like again, you're almost double my age. So I mean, at this point in time, well, I mean, 31. You said 61, right?
Yeah, I thought you said 30 at once.
No, 31, 31. I'm a fresh 31.
Okay.
Fresh
That's
31.
why you had a Freudian slip when you said 30.
Yeah.
I was listening.
It's happened twice. It's happened twice. But I definitely said 31. Like it was one of the type things. But yeah, like it's It's new. It's a little new.
Okay.
But you just got to find out yourself in the day, and I think you just realize that as you get older, and you accept yourself more too.
Yeah, and I think that your age group, processes it a lot differently than we did back in the day. When I was 31,
Okay.
because you have so much more information that you have to process,
Yeah.
along with being yourself
Yeah.
in a world that is extremely dynamic. It wasn't that vast or dynamic, that diversified in information when I was 31. And so I think it may even be harder
Mm.
for your generation than it was for my generation. We didn't have all kinds of distractions like you have now.
Hmm.
And these distractions now cause you to question who you are, or cause you to question your why.
Right.
Whereas back when I was 31, we didn't have so many distractions to cause. I mean, we had distractions,
Right.
but it wasn't the volume of distractions. Yeah.
Do you think you guys got a benefit or like a little boost in terms of from an early standpoint? And what I mean that is like we, I guess, have to explore so much. I know, like it was kind of back in your day, do as I say, not as I do.
Mhm.
So maybe you feel like you didn't get to explore enough, but you might have too, though. So do you feel like your generation got a little better, I guess, boost early on in terms of trying to figure out yourself opposed to us? Because
I don't know if boost is the right word, but I would say our foundation is different
okay,
and our work ethic is different,
right,
because a lot of the things we did was out of necessity. We had to eat. We
okay,
had to do a lot of things, because if you didn't do it, it wasn't getting done and nobody was going to do it for you.
right,
So, the whole discipline thing was because as a family unit, if you got 5 people in the house,
mm,
then you divide all of those chores to
right,
keep everything moving.
right,
And if somebody didn't do their part, it impacted the whole house. It impacted everybody else in the house. If my children didn't take the trash out, help cut the grass, help clean the kitchen, help do the dishes, then that meant me and my wife had to do it.
okay,
And if me and my wife had to do it, then that means we couldn't do a lot of these other things that we needed to do to be able to take care of the family.
okay,
So when you have a bunch of people in the house, if everybody do their thing, then now we can maximize the efficiency or the capability of Team Bullock. But if my son just watched TV all day, and my daughter watched TV all day, and my wife and I had to do everything, we're not maximizing Team Bullock. But then they come and complain, I want a cell phone, I want this, I want the. Well, I could have been getting my hustle on,
right,
so that I can make this money to take care of my family. But none of that's going to happen, and you ain't getting diddly, because I'm going to cut the grass, I'm going to take the trash out, I'm going to do the dishes, I'm going to clean the kitchen, I'm going to do the laundry, and I'm going to do all of this stuff while y'all watching TV.
yeah, yeah, no,
And oh, you want a computer? I'm sorry, I can't get out there and get my hustle on because I'm doing this thing.
yeah,
And a friend of mine once told me, because he was a millionaire and he was teaching me some things on getting my hustle on. And I'm like, I got to get home and cut the grass. He said, Reggie, how long does it take you to cut the grass? I said, well, I got to ride a lawnmower, so it's only going to take me 4 hours. Right? Big yard. Big yard. So, because you got to be weeding, you got to do all of this stuff.
oh, that's a little more than cutting the grass now.
You got to do all that, right? So he said, why would you do at the time? He said, why are you doing a $10 an hour job if you work $50 an hour? I'm like, what?
I've heard that.
He said, in other words, those 4 hours, you're going to give up $40. So, in other words, in those 4 hours, you could have paid somebody $40 to do that work, while you go make 200.
Yeah,
if you work $50 an hour. If you work for $100 an hour or 200, scale it. Yeah. And so I thought about it. So when children are not doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm talking to your generation now, when children are not doing what they're supposed to do or what they could be doing to contribute to the household, they force their parents to do everything that they should be doing.
Yeah.
And now the parents can't get their hustle on.
Right.
So therefore, the parents have to do a $10 an hour task at home because the children are not doing the $10 an hour task.
Mm-hmm.
And now the parent can't go make an additional $100 an hour doing other things with their time.
Right.
But the children are not doing the $10 an hour task. They are burning that $10 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
doing nothing. So technically, it's a minus $20 an hour per child per hour when they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
And
so in an 8-hour day, if a child could have been more productive at home to help the household, not just the parents and themselves, but to help the household, and they do nothing at $10 an hour, then that's $160 that day that they have taken from their parents.
Yeah.
But yet they want a cell phone, and they want to get on the internet, and they want a computer, and they want clothes, and they want a prom, and they want this, they want a limo, they want everything. All right, buy it. Well, you can't buy it because you don't have a job. Back to the conversation at the beginning, the work ethic.
Right.
The foundation that my generation had was the parents was doing everything that they could possibly do for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted anything else, you're going to have to do it for yourself.
Right.
So at 6 years old, I was washing windows in a car to get my quarter.
I will say not everyone makes your kids do certain stuff. Like for my birthday, my 13th birthday, I was in the back picking weeds. I got poison ivy too. It wasn't no good. What?
I mean,
I understand it.
You learned what poison ivy was.
Yeah, I knew what poison ivy was.
You learned what calamine lotion was.
I did not need to go through that lesson to learn. I promise you. But I also understand.
Next time you put gloves on and have long sleeves.
I feel like I had gloves, but then again, I don't know. Like, it was annoying. I'm just glad it didn't happen on the actual day. If I had to miss my actual birthday for poison, it was the next day. Now I was like, it's tough. That's tough. I had a little. We'll talk offline. Anyways, like I do understand parents and their, I guess, struggle with kids. Transparency, I feel like, might help out. Like sometimes I don't think parents just say, "Look, bro, here's the situation. You want this? That's cool. We work here. We do this. Somebody's gonna have to give some give and take. So if you want this, you're gonna have to do this."
Yeah.
And I don't think that's always told. I don't think it's always broken down. Like, bro, y'all don't really have to do a lot of stuff. Like, your kids are young; they don't know a lot of the world. And I think sometimes parents try to shelter their kids too much. So, like, when we're not having these honest conversations, like, look, bro, just do the work and you can get this. But if you don't do this, you won't get this. Like,
that requires your ability to synthesize the information to articulate to your child, the strategy, the landscape, all of that stuff. And there is no real parenting 101, 102, 201. You just kind of figure it out as you go, right? And anybody that's a parent, y'all know, you screw up every day, right? You don't know. So there are a lot of parents, first of all, how are they trained coming up? Right. So what information do they currently possess that allows them to think like that? Maybe they don't have that. So therefore they're not able to articulate that because they don't think that way.
Right.
Because they weren't taught to think that way.
Okay.
I have friends that, they grew up in a privileged family. They got their bachelor's degree, master's degree by the time they're 25 years old, right? And went to the best schools, and then, through relationships, got a great job. They making right out of college over $100,000, right? And so they never had the experience of struggling.
Okay.
So now they have children, and their children tearing the house up and doing all kinds of stuff they shouldn't be doing, and smoking weed and doing pills and all of that and drinking, and they 15 years old, right? 14. And so the parents just don't know how to do it. It's sad, it's a shame, and it's unfortunate. And I'm not trying to defend the parents. I'm just giving the understanding of the landscape of where's the foundation of knowledge that they have. right? And that goes back to culture.
Right.
It goes back to the Caucasian who said you weren't black because you didn't know what an ape was. It's what you were taught.
Yeah. I so do you ever? Because I always think about this all the time. Like the moment I have kids, I know. Well, I'm sorry. I know what I'm going to do because right, like I had to make sure I put quotes around that because one, I don't have a child, so I got to make sure I'm saying that.
You know
Uh,
what you're gonna do. All right, go ahead.
well, the reason why I say that is like I'm gonna remember how I was as a kid. So I'm gonna try to like obviously every kid is different.
In what year?
Like as I was growing up.
Okay, because I had a black and white television,
Hmm.
and it only had 5 channels, and it was only one television in the house.
Right.
My children grew up with color television
Hmm.
in almost every room and 1,000 channels.
Right. It's a little
So I'm listening to you.
So
because the culture will be different.
oh yeah, culture will be different, but how I actually handle my children. Like for example, if I'm going to raise my voice, how did I like that growing up?
Gotcha.
If I want to offer up whoopings,
Right.
how did I like that back in the day? Like fun fact, to this day, I would actually tip my cap to my dad because he whooped me back in the day, right? And I'm not pressing charges, so don't think that's what this is. Like we cool, but there was a moment where I lied to him, right? So he whoops me, says I'm done, goes downstairs, comes back up, pull him down again. I lied and whoops me again. To this day, I remember that because it's either you lie better or don't lie at all. Like it's that simple. It was a good, yeah. So I appreciated those sorts of moments. And I think if you as an adult remember what you liked and disliked as a kid, it could be applicable to your own child as well. So when I say I know,
It could be because there's another yang to that yin, and that is they didn't like it.
right,
And because they didn't like it, they decided they will never do it.
right.
Ever.
And that's the thing, like I'm not going to like this how I got whooped, maybe I might change up. Like I might not.
You ain't
Yeah,
got to
yeah, yeah. I must say I might not do. Yeah, I must say I might not do that. But like I may change it up though a little bit. May alter my own spin.
It'll be a different type of consequence and repercussion.
Exactly, exactly. Because I do think there are learnable
learning.
right.
Keep in mind that my generation wasn't that far removed from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not that far removed from slavery, what's the consequence or repercussion to change a behavior that needs to be changed?
Yeah.
And so that's all we knew.
Right.
Grandma, like, go get that switch. Ooh. So everybody's heard the term "go get that switch,"
and you got to pick your own.
And somebody say it with a term of endearment. Yeah, you got to go get your own switch up. But the reality of it is, why did Grandma say go get that switch? Because she's not that far removed from slavery. Mm-hmm. So all consequences, for the most part, that were not as severe was whipping somebody.
Yeah.
It's better than cutting your foot off. It's better than putting you on the stretching rack.
Yeah.
It's better than burning you and hanging you in front of everybody in public. So a whipping is kind of the lesser consequence.
Yeah.
But that's the mentality that was ingrained in us back then. And that's all we knew. There was no timeout. My timeout was, Reggie, go sit in the corner and churn that butter. Mm-hmm. After you got your whipping. Right? And so there's, so many different consequences now because we know now what we didn't know then.
Exactly.
But a lot of kids now hold their parents accountable for what was done then that the parents just really didn't know anything else to do.
Right.
Yet the child was raised, went to school, being productive citizens. Mm-hmm. They forget where all that came from, the parent.
Yeah.
They're only focused on, I didn't like that. All right, that's fine. To your point, now you become a parent. Mm-hmm. And you start doing things to try to raise your child. Mm-hmm. But if those things don't work, then what? And your child is out of control, then what?
Right.
And you need to start at a young age. But since you don't have a village raising a child, because in the village everybody's spanked. You got spanked by your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, everybody. And so now that mindset that you have about back in the day what you didn't like, you're on your own now. And then when your child is 16 years old and totally out of control and doing all kinds of things they shouldn't be doing, why? You are a parent. You think you know what you're doing, but yet your child is out of control.
Right. I think one thing that like I'm hoping I can bank on is that while I said like I know what I'm going to be doing, I know that I don't know everything too. And I think a lot of times people want to not seek out help, and I think that's kind of ignorant. Like,
well, it may be ignorant now, but in my generation, seeking out help was not just a sign of weakness. But in the military, if you went to get psychological help or you had a mental problem,
that's going to affect your job too.
It was going to form your record, and you may very well be kicked out of the military
because they feel like you can't do your job.
Right. So many people got kicked out of the military once they were deemed mentally unstable, as opposed to the help that they have now. So my generation grew up where you don't tell nobody nothing.
Right.
Ever. Because if you tell one person and they tell somebody else,
it's out there.
Now it's out there, and you'll be viewed as such, and that's going to impact your career, which impacts your revenue, which impacts you to be able to take care of your family, which impacts your hustle. And so therefore, you make the choice. I got to take care of my family.
Right.
I got to get my hustle on. I don't care what's wrong with me. I'm going to deal with it.
Okay.
So now we see the opposite, the extreme, where everybody talks about everything.
Right.
This is wrong with me. Oh, I'm depressed. I got anxiety. I hear so many people, oh, I'm a little anxious. Like when we were growing up, like, what? You anxious? You have anxiety? You're depressed? That's why you're not going to work? All right. Well, then you're not getting paid.
Yo, hold on. I can't affect the paper.
That's the way it was. You don't go to work, you don't get paid. So you can cry about all your issues and stay home and be broke. Or you can, as we say, suck it up and deal with it. So there's a cultural difference between now and then.
A big cultural difference.
And when you have your child, it may even be a different culture. And then you don't know what kind of child you're going to have.
Hey, I'm curious about that. Like, so, all right. How do you like just you just went with the flow? Like you just didn't care? Like did you like
initially?
Yeah, like in terms of what your child's going to be like. Because in my world, it depends on the mama. If we got some height, we going to the league, Reggie. Like we sitting first row. You know what I'm saying, cope side, easy, guy or girl. But like outside of that little like fantasy dream type situation, I don't really care how my child comes out as long as they come out as a good person.
Well, I was kind of like that. I didn't care. We knew we wanted to have 2 children.
Okay.
So whether it's 2 boys, 2 girls, or boy and a girl, didn't care. As long as it's healthy.
Right.
Right. And then after that, it's a pickup game. Right. You just every day you wake up, you just figure it out.
I like that actually. I like that. I like that. I'm gonna get a couple parents on the show. I'm like, so apparently raising kids is like a pickup game. Do y'all feel that way?
It is, man. I mean, you can want the best players on your team. You can think that you're good, but it is a pickup game every day. What if your child wakes up that day and they're depressed?
That's fair.
Or have anxiety.
Yeah.
And tell you about it. Yeah. Nowadays,
I'd rather them tell me about it though.
Yeah. And so now you got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Because yesterday they may not have been that way.
Right.
And so then there's the whole financial money piece. Children want what they want because they want it, when they want it, how they want it.
Right.
But they don't have a damn job. Right. So they want all of this stuff. So the question is, how do they get it? They get it from the parents.
Yeah.
And where does the parent get it from? And therein lies the frustration of the parents or the hustle of the parent. The child, Dad, you're never home. I wake up in the morning, you're not home. I go to bed, you're not home. Yeah. Birthday, you weren't here. Christmas, you wasn't here. You're never home.
Right.
Okay, but at least you have a home. And the reason you have a home, the reason why you have those sneakers, the reason why you have that laptop and that cell phone and that watch and those nice clothes and food in the refrigerator for you and all your friends is because I'm never home. Because I'm out here hustling for you, you ungrateful little one.
Would you say though that's so? I hear that because you got to feed your family, you got to do all the stuff. But from a kid standpoint too, they just want to see pop. They just want to see mommy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and therein lies
right,
the dichotomy of understanding.
right.
So as a parent, how do you balance that? Because the child can't balance it.
Right.
They don't know. So you need to show up from time to time. You need to make time for your family. You need to be there for a lot of those milestones.
Yeah.
And I brag on the fact that every first day of school, I was there for my children their entire life.
Right.
Until even in college, like, all right, Dad, it's second semester. You don't have to take me. It's my first day of school. But you know what? There's a lot of other kids in that school that wish their dad was there.
Yeah.
Some of them wish they even had a dad.
Yeah.
So therein lies where, as a parent, you still have to do certain things to include that showing up, even though the child doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, I've been your age. You've never been my age. So you don't understand this.
Right.
One day, when your child is in college, you will be able to look back and you'll be able to say whether or not you were there the first day of school every day, their entire life into college.
Yeah.
But if you didn't like it, and then by second grade, you decide, I'm not taking them to school every day. They can go however. The nanny can take them, or the car service can take them, or I'll walk them to whatever. Now, when they get to college, you won't have that to be able to say. You've just, taken that opportunity away to be able to say it. And so to me, what's important to the child and what's important to the parent.
Right.
And it's a balancing act. But the child is not the parent.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So they're going to ask for a lot of things and want a lot of things, but they're not the parent.
Yeah.
So who's in charge?
Yeah.
In many households now, the child is in charge.
See, I never got that sense. We came up in a household where if you turn the thermostat, it might be problems, repercussions.
So I met you there.
Yeah, like so it's that military background. Like, nah, dog, I don't feel like dealing with this. But
look at you now.
Yeah,
you're able to provide a house for a dog and a guy. My curiosity would be, what put him in that position, and how was he raised?
I think so. Funny enough, we actually have similar backgrounds.
Okay.
And so his situation was more so like life hit real fast randomly. So, and this, again, I don't know the whole story because there's three sides to every story. There's what they say, it's what the other person says, and there's what actually happened.
Why did he go back to his parents' house?
I think it was actually because of this dog. Okay. Like, so like the dog, they didn't want, like the parents weren't trying to rock with the dog.
Right.
And again, he auditioned really well.
Got it.
So, but like in terms of dealing with a dog, I put up with Buddy for 3 days, 3 going on 4, and I'm like, yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? But he cool though. He cool. It's just, it's tough. Yeah. So I think that standpoint was the reason why he didn't want to necessarily go back. It was just easier to not have.
So you shifted this thing into parenting. This was your idea. So what do you want folks to get out of it as we come to a conclusion? Because we've been doing it.
I was about to say, yeah, because actually when I looked at my phone, I just realized it's 10:35 now. So we've been going for a minute. And we started off as a test run. So
we've been going for over 120 minutes.
But I think ultimately what I wanted people to get, because we started off talking about intelligence.
Yes.
And it morphed into family. And
did we start off with intelligence?
Well, no. We started off with hustle. Yeah, but on this topic, it was about intelligence.
Yes.
But they all morphed into one thing, essentially. And I think you can understand and look at anything in life, but until you actually, I guess, are able to articulate it not only to yourself but someone else, I don't think that like you have to get to that point in anything. So if I'm telling you about how to be a DJ,
right,
I probably need to know what being a DJ is like.
Right.
That means I probably should do it. It's like if I tell you how to be an NBA player, I haven't done that. I can tell you how to be a basketball player, but not an NBA player. So in order to have that intelligence, you need to.
No, that's a good point. I'm teaching DJs right now.
Yeah.
And some of the DJs I teach, they tell me, Rich, I can't do this until I do this. Or I have to do that. I'm like, wait. How many people have you taught how to DJ?
Yeah.
Nobody. Yet I'm teaching you and you're trying to tell me how to teach you. I've taught people how to DJ for over 40 years. And I'm teaching you. And you're telling me what your steps are that you need to take in order to be able to do something. And I'm telling you, no, this is how you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I know that is because first of all, I know how to DJ,
right,
and I've taught it a lot of times. Therefore, I know how to DJ. And to your point, I have the intelligence of DJ. Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah. Easy. But you also gotta be intelligent to know yourself.
Yeah.
To know what you're good at.
Yeah. Know
strengths and weaknesses. And then you also got to be intelligent to realize we don't know everything. So it's okay to find mentors. It's okay to find, hell, it's even okay to find a mentee because you can learn from a mentee, like you alluded to earlier.
Sure.
So
it's a two-way street.
Exactly, communication.
That's two-way.
So you always got to really, one, hustle, but then two, study other people because end of day, you can learn from somebody else and apply it to yourself. And I feel like that ties into our what, our why, our how, our purpose, essentially. Just end of the day, you can watch us, you can listen to these topics and see how it applies to yourself.
So as we bring this to a close, based on what you said, I want to introduce something, and it's how conscious are you? And what level of conscience do you have? Yeah. Parenting, how conscious are you that you are a parent? Mm-hmm. And how conscious are you of all your duties and responsibilities as a parent? Mm-hmm. And so there are four types of people. Mm-hmm. There are people who are conscious. They know that they know. Yeah. There are people who are conscious, unconscious. Mm-hmm. They got information, but they're not doing nothing with it. Yeah. They're just kind of coasting along. Right. Then there are people who are unconscious, conscious. Mm-hmm. So those people are just kind of walking around clueless, but somehow, they happen to know certain things. Right. And it's kind of like when we talk about love. Mm-hmm. But then you got the unconscious. They don't know that they don't know. Right. They may even think they know, but they're unconscious. So therefore they don't know. So how do you go from being unconscious to being conscious to really just being aware and conscious of the whole dynamics of everything, to the point that your intelligence kicks in all of the time and you know that you know. And not just you know that you know, the results speak for themselves. Right. So the results say that you know what you know. Right. And therein lies the differentiator between people who talk versus people who actually achieve what they talk about. Mm-hmm. The results say that you're conscious, not just you. Mm-hmm.
Actions speak louder than words.
Just living life.
Yep. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we hope you have had a good time. Like we said, bro, this was supposed to be a little test run for the pilot. We ain't got our clothes on like the way we wanted to.
We'll wear them next time.
Hey, next time. But definitely hope you all appreciate this conversation. Hope you all learned something. And most importantly, please like, subscribe, comment, and tell anyone who's anyone about the show. Because not necessarily for ratings, so we'd appreciate them. But at the same time, we want to get y'all feedback. Because maybe we said something that was off or sounded wrong, or you had questions about it. I don't know. Like I know people might have question marks on something I said. So please share your thoughts and tell us. I know for a fact, I promise you, I will gladly reach out. And Reggie's pretty open himself too. And again, it's just two guys having genuine conversation from different backgrounds. So, but before we do close, I do want to say, Reggie, I appreciate you because fun fact, he did challenge me when we were fishing, and he was like, I mean, yeah, if you're gonna call me, go ahead. And if you know Reggie, that's more of like, I'm doubting it a little bit. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I call this man next day, next week type vibes. And I did, and now we're here. And this is really motivating because I gotta go help a friend move out to this. And I promise you, I'm trying to think, how can I avoid that? To go get some more recordings done. Like this is exciting, bro. This is
Get the hustle on.
exactly, exactly. So Reggie, like from the bottom of my heart, just over the years, I appreciate you as a person, and I want I just wanted to make sure I had it on camera. I know we had like a flowers segment, quote unquote, to possibly talk about, but like I wanted to make sure I gave you your flowers and say thank you from the bottom of my heart. So I appreciate this.
Thank you. All right. Well, on that note, in the words of Russell Simmons,
Hey,
thank you very much. God bless.
hope you have a good one.